Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 25, Field Research. And our topic is Narrative Analysis. Narrative analysis seeks to analyze narratives or events, viewpoints of subjects. Thus has discussed contemporary methods used in narrative analysis. Narratives collected through interaction with subjects are not always enough and have to be supplemented by additional data. In analyzing narratives, one should be able to read between the lines and also investigate the various situations that made a subject respond to a certain question in a certain way. It is subject positioning that constitutes the type of response one elicits from them. For example, a war widow might vent her anger at the government for not caring for her needs because she is economically unable to support herself, while another from an established background might dismiss such aids as unnecessary. When subjects refuse to respond, it does not mean that they do not have an opinion. At the same time, one should also take into account the fact that the opinions might be formed at the spot when the subject had never thought about any before. In such cases, the response would be influenced by the nature of the ongoing situation. Data collected should not only amount to the words that are spoken, but also should be summing up of observations, attitudes, various records, and respondents' viewpoints. The production of truth is questionable, as there are specific kinds of truth produced by a specific kind of epistemology. Even silences also have their own narratives, and one should be aware of the response made to fulfill certain subject functions. Now let us move to the next point, interpretation. Interpretation requires more care than asking questions. The respondent's answer is to be situated rationally. Meanings reside in the cultural context. Certain answer may be offered as a matter of mere courtesy and may not have anything to do with accuracy. Some answer may be given due to impatience, others still due to political, moral, and other social constraints. As Kemp and Allen have said, one way of approaching the problems of interpretation is systematically emphasize all possible questions or interpretations of questions that might have elicited the actual answers you get. Interpretations also involves the understanding of the power dynamics that structured the interaction between the interviewer and the subject. One should be aware of the various kinds of circumstances and situations that elicit a certain type of response. Silence and subject refusal have their own interpretations and should be read as meaningful data. For it is not only spoken words that have meaning but also gestures, attitudes, cues, and silence or denial. Now let us move to the next point, case studies and its types. Case study method involves systematically gathering enough information about a particular person, social setting, event, or group to permit the researcher to effectively understand how it operates or functions. Case study is not actually a data gathering technique, but a methodological approach that incorporates a number of data gathering measures. The approach of case studies ranges significantly from general field studies to the interview of a single individual or group. Case studies may focus on an individual, a group, or an entire community and may utilize a number of data technologies such as life histories, documents, oral histories, in-depth interviews, and participant observations. Case studies can be rather pointed in their focus or can approach a broad view of life and society. For example, an investigator may confine his examination to a single aspect of the individual's life, such as studying a medical student's actions and behaviors in medical school. One must determine the area of social life to be studied according to the nature of the problem. When examining an individual case study, a similar type of assessment must be undertaken. A single lengthy interview may be sufficient, or several interviews may be required to be supplemented with field notes during observation, copies of journal or diary entries from the subject, or other forms of documentation. Several reasons may make it necessary for a broader and more sweeping investigation on all aspects of an individual's social life, as they are interconnected and one cannot be adequately understood without a consideration of the others. Now let us wind up the session and take rest. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the Self-Learning podcast.